Hello, I'm Richard Raffan. This is a short video about jam chucks. Jam chucks are enormously useful. If you want to turn off the bottom of an end grain box, for instance, you'll need a jam chuck. If you've got a rounded bowl, the chances are it'll be safer to put it into a jam chuck rather than over some chuck jaws. So that's what we're going to look at here. I'm going to make a jam chuck for this little box base, and for jam chucks, I've got a lot of little odd blocks which have been left over from other jobs, end grain jobs. So there's a little shoulder on there, so that goes up against the jaws, helps it true up nicely in the chuck. Then with these, always pays, it's all going to be running slightly out, so you just true it up just using a peeling cut with there's a 1-inch skew chisel, and that's pretty true on the top, that's all right. Now, I tend to do this by eye. You could measure it with calipers, but I want a diameter slightly smaller than this. Now, the idea is to cut a taper over which this fits, and I'll hold it just firmly enough to get a small burnish mark. But we've got to get down to that diameter first. So I start with a bit of a taper. Now that doesn't fit deliberately, so that I can show you what happens. Now, if I keep the tool at that angle and take it on down, the moment I've started cutting, I've lost track with where I started. So the trick here is to take that down to a cylinder, so that still doesn't fit. Then keep the back of that, where the pencil line is, the same size, and tilt that around. Still doesn't fit. So take it down to another cylinder, tilt it round. This time it goes over. I hold it very gently, and there's a very slight burnish mark, and in fact there are two, because I didn't hold the box base on quite tight, quite securely enough or straight enough. That doesn't matter. I work between those 2 points, because where you get the burnish mark is where it fits, where the thing fits. So what I want now is to have a very slight taper here. Think in terms of kind of half a degree, and if it doesn't go right on, don't whack it on. It's very tempting, but you split things that way. So there's a very slight burnish mark up to the left of that pencil line. Let's take that away. And on it goes, and that's it, and that's very secure. It's also slightly out of whack. It's better. Right, so that's that. Now, if you overcut that, so it's too loose, it just comes further on down with the taper. You've got to be very careful holding unpolished wood up against unpolished wood, because it tends to grab as it has just now. Very slight burnish mark there, so that's where it rubs, is where it fits. You want to keep this, make sure this shoulder is true, because that's where the top's going to fit up. There you are. So now's my demo half box, so that you can see how it fits in there. So a very slight angle, and this flange here is is pretty well straight, so that just goes on to the very slight angle, gets very slightly tighter as it goes on, and then should stay on once it's there. This time I've got a small bowl. It's just under 3 inches diameter, and it's narrowing all the way from the rim. Ideally, when you're chucking anything like this, you want it to get slightly wider inside the rim. So I've got another odd blank. Slightly loose. This is also a bit of a branch, so it's centre work. Now ideally I want that rim butting up to the shoulder, so that just trues the whole thing up. It's so much easier. The shallower you can get this as an angle, the nearer 1/2 degree rather than 5 degrees, the better the grip you're going to get. Well, in this case there might be a slope I have to match on the inside. We'll see. If I just rotate that around, I get a very slight burnish mark around here. Now, let me keep that at an angle for the moment. Now, a little crunching sound is good. It means it's getting tighter. But in this case, with a bowl, there's probably this shoulder getting in the way. So I'll just take away that and do that with a gouge. No, from the shoulder, it's just not quite down to the size. Going very cautiously here. Right, I'm going to leave it like that, just get a little tap on. I don't really want to do anything with this bowl, other than maybe sand it, but that'll be enough. Now, it's not easy to get off. If you want more security, then you can use, there's a little bit of MDF with a hole drilled in the middle, and I can bring the tail center up and just add that little level of security. But I really don't think this bowl is going to need it, because it needs levering off. Now when you want to get it off, and it won't go, on much bigger versions what you do is whack the actual chuck, but here I can probably do it with a ruler, and that'll be that. So once you get the hang of these jam chucks, they're very quick and easy to make, and it allows you in a situation like this to get the piece on and really do anything you want to the outside. If I want to put grooves in, yes, that's fine. I can take the foot off, sand it, whatever. So if you need to jam chuck something like this bowl to get the base off, then you need a larger chuck really with a hole in it, and the idea is going to be just to get that in so you can turn the bottom off. Now that might stay in, but it could do with just being slightly larger, and then I have to make sure there's enough room to accommodate the other part of the bowl. So first thing I'm going to do is just take some of the bottom out, enlarge it a bit, and at the side here I don't need to take out very much. So, and I want it to get in, it's got to be tapered, narrowing very slightly on the way in. If it's in any way dovetailed, you can get a bowl in there and can't get it out. Very frustrating. Right, so that, I've almost gone just a bit too far, but what I'm after is that slight crunching sound. And you need a little hammer or something, probably something like this, a little scraper. Just tap it in. And then you can do whatever you like to it. I don't actually need to do anything to this, but I'll just screw up the foot. Definitely don't need to do this, but you can just see, yeah, sand it and then whatever, then you have to get the thing out, and that can be a bit of a problem. So, two ways of doing this. One is to get something heavy, like a heavy wrench, and just tap the rim and that will bring it out. Stuff it back in again, or you take it out of the chuck and then hit it on the side of the lathe.